Let's get you a very rare interaction. Former Chris Cap boss and a veteran investor, now big philanthropist, Ashish Dhawan, spoke to my colleague Anisha Jain from the sidelines of the NASSCOM conference. Let's hear a slice of that.
I initially started with a focus on education. It was very close to my heart. So initially when I made the transition, a few of us who got together worked on Ashoka University, so building a new age university for the country, which is multidisciplinary, holistic, and excellence in teaching and learning, and a pioneer with a new model that hopefully 100 flowers will bloom after that. Right? I also set up another foundation called Central Square Foundation that works on school education, particularly basic literacy and numeracy, foundational numeracy and literacy, which is FLN. And we were lucky that eventually the new education policy called it out very strongly. The Prime Minister launched Nipun Bharat Mission. And so what we were doing, a lot of good work, but that work went on steroids after the national mission was launched. And we now support 12 state governments with the Nipun Bharat Mission. So I feel really good about that India can really make a difference now with primary education in the next decade. And then beyond that, in the last 3 years, through the Convergence Foundation, which was set up recently, we really incubate a number of new foundations. But when I say incubate, it's not like an incubator where you come and move on. You know, help build them and work with them for the next decade. To make them into institutions across different areas. So it could be women's economic empowerment, where we have one is focused on science and tech, policy advocacy, capacity building, another one on governance and data at the state level, so a variety of different organizations.
In terms of stock markets, I know it'll be remiss of me of not asking you a question around that. What's your view with respect to India, how flows are expected to be, and India versus rest of the world?
Yeah. See, I think with China, obviously China's equity market is cheaper than India right now. But I think for anybody, particularly in the Western world, which is where most of the money is coming from, the foreign money, to incrementally put a lot into China, they'll think twice about it. I mean, if you look at whether it's the large private equity funds, VC funds, they have what they have. In fact, they're already overexposed, right? I think they're probably looking at how am I going to exit. Right? If you look at a lot of MNCs, they have a lot of invested in China, and they're over-dependent, either because of supply, like we've seen with Apple, or because of the market. You know, some of the German auto companies, the largest profit pool is China right now. How do you wean yourself off China if you're worried, right? You can't exit the market so easily. So you can incrementally, take it elsewhere. So I think that on the investing side also, people will be somewhat cautious. In the near term, yes, China is cheap. There's some positive reforms. There's going to be incremental spending, people coming out of COVID. Sure. Yes, but I think structurally, people will be wary of China.
And India specifically, where do you see value? Do you see equity markets have a runaway rally anytime soon, or what's your view?
I'm out of the markets, and anyway, I never could predict the near term.
Sure.
All I know is that the next 10, 20 years look great from an economic growth standpoint. Sure. It looks great from a value creation standpoint. I think we're very well positioned macro-wise. I mean, we've got some near-term challenges in that the Fisk, I think we've been very responsible. We have a large fiscal deficit, we have to correct it. We have a current account deficit. Hopefully, if trade improves over time, we can correct that. But we've come out of our credit cycle. We're much better positioned now. So whilst equities are not cheap right now, so I wouldn't be jumping in just buying boatloads of equities. It's good to have a small amount of cash also.
That was Ashish Dhawan, former Chris Cap boss, saying that India is positioned very well on macros right now and value creation standpoint. Near term, some challenges do exist.